Hi everybody, welcome back to the Infinite Me. Every day we're here talking about all about what it looks like living your infinite life. So you're already an infinite being. We don't need to wake up to our powers or ascend to anything or, I don't know,
Find them.
study it or research it or
Don't have to do anything.
we just have to be it. Yeah, just have to know it and come from that space. And that's what we're talking about. All these conversations are around how to do exactly that or what that looks like and playing in the moment. So I'm Mandy and over there is Nat. And we've gone red today. We changed the color of our little name bar each week. So we've gone red because
Ruby red.
Today we're on a bit of a rant. And so we've gone fire red. Yes, ruby red.
Red is perfect. Maybe this week will be a week of rants.
Yes, we'll see. So yesterday we talked. We didn't normally we draw a topic from our little infinite lucky dip bag, which has got all different topics that we've thrown in there over time, just things that have piqued our interest or questions we've been asked or things like that. So yesterday we didn't do that, but because we had something that was really coming up for both of us, and so we did do a bit of a rant yesterday about calling people to take a stand, like, and draw a line in the sand on I'm ready to step into the knowingness of that I'm an infinite being and start living from that space rather than this separation that we seem to keep doing in the spiritual community around living still in the ego land and also an infinite being. Like we're not sort of fully just ignoring the ego, if you like, or only using it as our tool to show us where we've still got our power hidden rather than getting caught in all the stories. So yesterday's talk was all about that, which was sparked by a book title that I saw that just kind of summed up, I think, just where people are still placing their attention and then complaining that we're not living an infinite life. So it's, So check out that one because it was definitely an interesting one. It's been getting some good comments. Landed pretty well with people.
Summing up really what all of the Infinite Me is actually all about, like our messaging here. And I think it even gave us a kick up the butt too to sort of go, right, we really need to step into this and call ourselves to task, call everybody else to task as well. Like if we're really going to start living this infinite stuff, then you can't be putting attention onto the ego because the ego is just loving that stuff. So we have to completely take and move away from even talking about that stuff now and using the ego as purely our tool, which is what it is, to highlight where we've still got power in our story and where we're letting ourselves down and off the hook from living infinitely all the time. So I think yesterday was really powerful in bringing all that messaging together. So if living an infinite life definitely is your thing, then yesterday's video was definitely worth watching. Hopefully it fires you up as much as it fired us up. So it's been cool.
So we're just talking about it's how it gets so easy to fall into the trap of not fully stepping into the infinite life, like that 2 feet in, all in, not going, not the 1 foot in each world, which is what a lot of us have been doing over the years, and ourselves included, and not fully jumping in. And so that's where this line in the sand and the call to action, if you like, is to fully claim our infinite life and start living from that space. And we're looking for people that want to join with the same thing. We're starting a revolution, and we talked a bit about that yesterday in the talk. So that's coming very soon. So we'd love to have people on board that feel exactly the same way too. Let's have fun.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know in the comments if you want to join the revolution, because we're still putting it all together, so we don't have anything for you to join yet. But if you let us know that you're interested, then we'll make sure that you get in touch with that.
Yes.
It's exciting.
All
I'm
right.
so excited about it. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So, all right. So we're going to go back to today. We'll see what topic we bring up from our little infinite lucky dip bag. So we'll see. Nat has requested a fun topic today. So
a fun topic is everyone to laugh today. So
I can't remember what topics there is.
See what we can make fun of.
We can make.
Hopefully it's not a morbid. We did.
I was just thinking that
it's not like death or something. Well, that's worth laughing at sometimes.
Okay. This could be fun. So how are you interpreting different energetic feelings? So things like we say, I'm feeling a bit off, or it's Mercury retrograde. So I'm just feeling really I don't know what Mercury retrograde is a lot about communication problems happening or technological stuff going wrong, supposedly, and all that kind of stuff. So like that, you kind of feel like off by that, and or you live your life by that a little bit too, kind of thing. You sort of think, oh, well, that's coming up, and so yeah, how much of that is actually presupposed, that's how you're going to feel. I don't know. Yeah. So but yeah, so I think it was the judgment around the energetic feelings. That's probably where that statement I think came from.
Okay. Yeah, get that one. All right. Yeah,
how to make it fun.
How do I make it fun?
I think for me, I see it so much with I think I might have been the one that wrote that down. I can't remember. Sometimes we've written these ones quite a few weeks ago, and we can't always remember exactly.
I think that's yours, so you can kick it off.
Yes. I think where it came from was that it was almost like there's a lot of people judge where they're at. Actually, no, I remember now where this came from. It was Matt Kahn, who is a spiritual teacher, was talking about this idea that, we go along our awakening journey, and yes, things come up. Like we have a story that something triggers us, and we have some kind of reaction to it, or we just feel like a bit we feel a bit off. Like we just feel like our energy is a bit low, or we're just a bit depressed, or maybe we don't feel like we're tapping into our intuition, or whatever that feeling is. Like we're just that feeling like, oh, we're not like our normal switched on selves, if you like, maybe not as conscious or aware or something like that. And so then he was talking about this idea that we somehow then make that wrong, like that it's wrong to feel off, like we should be feeling up all the time because we're spiritual and we're conscious, and we don't buy into the stories and things like that. But he was just saying, well, what if it is actually just your like you're actually going through shifts and changes in consciousness? So what if it's actually just your body catching up to the shifts and changes that you're actually going through? Like, so there's nothing wrong with what's happening. It's just it is just that literally readjusting and calibrating to a new energy way of being. And so, okay, you feel a bit off, that would be the label that we would put on it. But it's then the story that comes in after that. So we can acknowledge we're feeling a bit off and think, oh yeah, I need to lay a bit low today, or I need to just rest up a bit, maybe stay off the computer or be outside a bit more today. But then we kind of bring in this story straight after it that's just like, oh, I've got to do something to get out of that feeling off, like I've done something wrong, or I haven't got the insight yet and I need to land it, or whatever that story is. Like that's the point he was trying to make, was just we jump so quickly to that this shouldn't be happening, basically. Like I'm conscious and I shouldn't be feeling like this.
And we're probably more prone to it because we are on the consciousness journey and we feel like we should have it all together. Or we see other people, they've got it all together, and therefore we should as well. But that we shouldn't be prone to having the ebbs. We love the flow. Everybody loves the flow. But the ebbs definitely are really tough to go through. And I think we do judge ourselves. It's really quick, really easy to quickly judge the ebbs when you're in the consciousness space because of that. It is interesting. And then
an assumption that we should
do. And it is interesting to tune into the feeling of it. And I was just saying this to Jodie actually just before. She was thinking about something, and I said to her, did the feeling come first and then the story, or did the story? She was thinking about sort of she really is not aligned with Facebook right now, sort of thing. Like she's not feeling the Facebook thing, and so there's this whole story about we've run groups before and it's a lot of work and blah blah blah. And I said, but did the feeling come first and then you justified it by saying, we've run groups before and it's really difficult and I don't want to do it again? Or did the story come first and then you felt the feeling? Because if the feeling came first, then that's actually a genuine feeling. And the same applies for this. So if you're really feeling the ebb and feeling a bit low and, not sort of on and connected and all those sorts of things, not feeling that infinite, then that's a true feeling for you in that time. And then the story does layer on top of that. You create the story around that to sort of say, oh, this has happened, or I haven't had enough sleep, or
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sort of flowing with my work right now, or so you then justify it, and that's just, you know, purely the mind doing that. That's what it does. It's looking for
Yeah.
ability to compartmentalize and put into a box what your experience is, so that they can understand it. So the mind is always going to do that. But the feeling is quite genuine. Absolutely. It's actually quite interesting because I've sort of done this experiment myself, and I think I talked to you about this, where we're sort of going along, and then I knew nothing about Mercury retrograde, for instance, and I know this is a big one in the spiritual sort of energetic community, and it sort of crossed my path maybe 2 years ago or something. I probably first heard about it, and I did a bit of reading about it, and sort of went, oh, okay, when Mercury goes into retrograde, then things slow down. It feels like everything comes to a grinding halt. So if you're trying to do projects, it's not a good time to start a new project, as you say.
Don't launch something in that time.
Don't go into agreements and, you know, sign documents and bits and pieces. Like, don't be going into contracts. Try not to use technology because it's usually screw up. And, you know, and the planet is slowing down, but it doesn't. It actually feels like it looks as if it stops, type thing. So it's actually quite an illusion when you actually go into the science behind sort of what's happening with the planet. Actually is quite illusionary about what's going on. It just appears that it's slowing right down and stopping, type thing. But so it's sort of like, oh, now I'm aware of this phenomenon. I better see when it's happening next. So, oh, it's happening in September next. Oh, okay. Like, geez, it goes for a long time, you know, like there's a lot of days there. I was like, okay, well, I better be aware of that, type thing. Like, and so Jodie and I'd be talking about this, you know, like, so it's like, oh, Mercury retrograde's coming up, type thing. Like, we sort of, I can feel it sort of starting to come on now. And and then, oh, now we're in the real sludge of it. Like, it goes for a week or two. It's like, bloody hell. Okay. Like, well, I can't really do anything right now because it's just Mercury retrograde. It's just really shit. And then then we're coming back out of it again. Things are starting to speed up again, so it's starting to flow a little bit better. We're not quite there yet. And I was just like, this went on for ages, like probably for like 2 years, maybe. It's only more recently I just went, what the fuck? Like, seriously? Like, I think I spoke to you about it, and we just both went, what on earth are we like going into? Like, this whole story of this is the way it's got to be because a planet is doing something. Okay, yes, where we get influenced obviously by what's going on out there, because even the moon itself is, you know, making the tides up and down and things like that. So yes, it does actually have a physical effect. It has, scientifically, it has an effect. But energetically, only if you let it. And it's so interesting now that I've stopped that whole, I think my last thing was, I'm feeling really low. I can't get my shit together. There doesn't seem to be anything else wrong. So maybe I'll look at what Mercury is doing. So I looked it up and went, it's not doing anything. It's actually fine. And I went, oh, shit. So now there's no explanation of why I feel like this. And I felt this genuine right then. Well, it's all about me then, isn't it? So I've got something wrong. So
I'm creating this.
I'm actually creating it. So it's actually really funny. Yeah. But now I'm just like,
but it's kind of
let the whole thing go. I was like, I'll stuff it. I'm not going to buy into that anymore.
It is funny with that whole, say, Mercury retrograde thing, because it's one thing I've never actually ever bought into. It's just like, I don't know, just doesn't resonate, doesn't mean anything to me. Like, it's just, so I just never have, and I've never had problems through Mercury retrograde. Like, my computer, like other people sort of posting, oh, my computer's stuffing up and this and that, and I'm just like, I just never had anything happen. So it's just like, I don't know, but I haven't put any attention on it. So it's kind of like, I don't know, to me, it's just like an example of, you know, everything that we've talked about here is just like, they're all our creations, these things. So even Mercury retrograde and even our physical universe, it is all a creation of the infinite consciousness. So all the limitations and all the stories and all the planets doing this, and it has even the moon has influence over the tides and this and that. It's all part of the physical world, the creation, and we can either buy into that and make that part of our world, which is nothing wrong with that. If you want to play with that, play with it. Like, you like learning about the planets and living your life by that, then do that. But it's about that. The difference is about that giving your power away to these things outside of us. There's so many people are giving their power away to Mercury retrograde, and so therefore you get evidence to show you that, oh well, this is what you're putting your focus on,
100%,
what you're believing.
Stuff was stuffing up all over the place. There's things not working. There was issues with the computers, trying to do payment system, like just everything, like because we do a lot of online work, and there was heaps of stuff that was going wrong. But now I've just gone, actually, I'm not doing that anymore. That just doesn't really resonate with me at all. And as soon as I let it go, I just had nothing. I don't even know when they are. There's just nothing going on anymore. I was like, isn't that interesting? I virtually did my own experiment on it. And I was just like, that's so true. It actually just has no effect unless you want it to, because I'm not giving any power to it anymore. It's going to be the same thing with the ego. Like, really, if you don't put any power into the ego, you don't talk about it, you don't think about it, don't label it as anything. Like when something goes wrong, it's like, oh, there's my ego, or I've got a feeling really sludgy. Oh, my ego just reacted. Like if we just drop all that stuff, which is what we were talking about yesterday, suddenly the ego doesn't exist anymore. If you're creating your reality, then you're putting out into the world what actually exists. So if you're not talking about it, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yes. Or it doesn't exist in the same way. Like it's that shift in the focus, like we talked about yesterday. Like the ego is actually there to assist us. It's a tool. It's part of our consciousness. So it's there to, as a feedback system, to show us where we've still got power invested in something. So when we get triggered by something outside of us, someone does something or whatever, says something to us, and we feel something come up within us, like that's our ego kind of showing us where we've got still got a limitation, a story, a paradigm that we've bought into, and how can we bring more freedom to that, like to create that inner space so it doesn't take up energy anymore. Like it does take energy to put to keep these stories running all the time. So that's what we spoke all about yesterday. It's just like if we just shift talking about the ego all the time and putting the focus on the stories and that was my ego reacting, like even just little offhanded comments, like this is where we're sort of just getting so like we've got to just stop doing this stuff, like especially people that have been on this path for so long, like we have too. It's just like we've got to start pulling ourselves up and being really diligent and calling each other out on it, which is what yesterday was kind of about. It was like the book cover that sort of triggered me, like was all about ego, and there's a strategy to overcome the ego, and it was kind of just like, God, like it wasn't so much about the actual book title, because someone might read that and get something out of it. I don't know what the book's even about. It wasn't even about knowing what the book was talking about. It was just the wording on it, and it was more like someone that's been on this path for so long, why are you still picking up a book with that title? Like it was more that. It was
it was more that who's picking up that book.
Putting your focus. It's like you still, I've done this too, so there's no judgment on the person, like they picked up the book, but it was just like this line in the sand, like we talked about yesterday, of just like, we've got to stop doing this stuff. Like if we actually want to live infinite, like we say we do, like, and everyone that's on this path usually says, like, there's this knowing that that's the truth, but then we don't live that way. And so it's like, how do we bring it into alignment? How are we congruent with our belief of who we truly are, and start actually coming from that space and jumping full on into that? And so maybe this whole, I don't know, the topic of, I think so too. Like even just tackling, as I was thinking, going back to this topic of the whole feeling off, like, and we judge that, like, what if that is just part of, okay, we're here in a physical body. Our body is under the influence of gravity, and it's under the influence of the moon, and it's all these different things. It's like, what if we just be okay with that, and we just actually listen to what our body is telling us to do? Okay, slow down today. Go and sit in the sun today, go for a run today. Like we just sort of listen to what it's actually saying, and rather than then following it up with this story of like, oh, I'm feeling off because of this, or every time I have that conversation with that person, I just feel a bit off. And it's just like, is that the story you've got running about that, or is that actually the truth? Like we have to be really clear on being honest with ourselves, if you like, about what is actually going on, because we just go straight into that mode of thinking because it's so automatic. So I think that's where we're talking about. It's like we have to be really diligent and really focused and calling ourselves out on this stuff over and over and over again, so that it just becomes our natural way of being, because the ego is so clever. It will pull us off track. Like it does. Like we still get pulled off. You know, we've got to be really just. It's not about judging when you get pulled off track or anything like that. That's just an awareness and course correct back to, oh, that's not the truth. Like, oh, there, I got pulled into the story there. Like, yeah,
I'm going to pull you up on that. There is no off track.
Yeah, well, that's true too. You're always on purpose.
Yeah.
Always
You're always
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's never any mistakes or anything. So it's,
yeah.
And if there is no ego, then, and you wandered off to do something else, then that's what you're meant to do at that time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, very true. Yeah.
Like you got out of that experience, whatever you were meant to get out of it type thing. Like that's, or you got nothing out of it. It doesn't matter. You just had an experience. Like, why can't we just do that too? Why have we got to have everything have so much meaning and stuff too in the whole consciousness world now? Like everything's got to have a purpose, and meaning, and all that stuff. And it's like, well, maybe you just do it because it's an experience. Like an infinite being here doesn't necessarily need to get a lot of meaning and benefit and purpose and all these things to what it's doing. It's just experiencing itself. And it's like what I was saying the other day. It's in terms of, you know, why do you love your partner? Oh, because they do this for me and they really support me, and you know, just, I love the way they look and they make me laugh and all that sort of stuff. Why can't you just love your partner because you love them? Like it, just because, like because of nothing other than it's just how you feel. Like, why have we got to keep backing everything up with like justifications and stories and this, that, and the other? Like, and then we say, oh, everything just is, what it is. But then there's a whole story behind that as well. And it's like, just to really honestly say it just is what it is means there is no story. It just is.
True.
That's it. Full stop. Nothing more. Like, it's just an experience.
Yes.
And that's really, to me, being an infinite being here, that's the ultimate. There's no goal or end goal or anything like that, but that's the ultimate goal, is that you're just having experience after experience. It's like nothing's better or worse or doesn't mean anything. They're almost meaningless experiences, but the mind is going to twist around what I just said then and go, oh, it just means that there's, you know, like there's nothing in it for me type thing. I was like, no, that's the ego again coming back saying, oh, everything's going to have meaning again. It's like, why can't you just have an experience of something?
Yeah. We think that we won't be fulfilled by just experiencing joy or experiencing sadness. Like we've only got a perception of what we think that's going to feel like, and so we're already sort of, you know, forward projecting that we think it's going to be boring or hard or whatever that projection is, sort of thing. Like, but how do we know that we won't be fulfilled by sitting in silence for 2 hours and doing nothing, supposedly nothing, you know? Like, how do we know? Like, it's kind of like, let's try it out and see, you know, it's just an experience. And if you don't like it, don't do it again. Like, it's as simple as that. What if it is as simple as that? Just do things because you like doing them, because they feel true for you, because you feel called to do something, and that's it. Yeah, no.
And I think that's the most important part, isn't it? It's like in that moment you felt called to draw a picture or go for a walk or ring somebody. And it's like, then the mind will create a story about what that's going to mean. Oh, I'm going to draw a picture because then I'm in my creativity, and that just puts me more connected with the infinite. Like, that's my access to the infinite. So that's awesome. And
align my energy with doing that.
Yeah. And it's like, why can't you just draw a picture because that's what you felt moved to do in the moment? Like, and whatever that experience is, like, you might get something out of it. Who knows? But you might not. You might just draw it and go, oh,
true.
Okay, I'm not sure why I did that. Like, who knows? Maybe there was no reason for it. Maybe the reason will come later, and you'll work it out. You know, maybe you give that drawing to somebody and they go, oh my God, that really shifted me about something, or that's amazing, or whatever. But it's sort of like, I don't even know why we're talking about this topic. I don't know if it's got anything to do with Mercury retrograde, but
the whole topic was about that judging, feeling off, like about the physical experiences that we have, and we sort of judge them as being, they shouldn't be there, or that type of thing. Yeah. So
I remember a guy talking a little while back. I don't even know who it was now, so I can't credit that person, but thank you, whoever it was. Talking about the ebb and flow. He's talking about money, and he goes, sometimes I have money and sometimes I don't. And he said, so I would judge that like so much about, oh, I've got no money. And it's like, but hang on, I'm getting some feedback there, Mandy. reason, all of a sudden, I don't know why.
Okay.
It might have gone again. It sometimes comes in your. Put it again. Anyway, I'll keep
Yeah.
talking.
I can't hear anything.
Yes. No, I'm really getting it.
Okay. I can't hear anything, so I'm not sure. Maybe try unplugging your headphone and back in again or something. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that better or?
Yeah, it's gone again. I'll see. I'll replug and see if I can do it.
I can't hear anything on my end, so I'm not sure.
Okay, have I got it now? Okay, it's gone. All right. That's weird. Yeah, sometimes it does
Gone now?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear feedback sometimes. Okay, what was I talking about? Oh, that guy. Yeah, so he's talking more about money. So sometimes he has money, sometimes he doesn't. And he would really beat himself up when he doesn't have money. And it's like, well, why is that any different to anything else? Like the whole of life and the universe just ebbs and flows. Sometimes things are really flowing and they're moving fast and all that sort of stuff. And then sometimes it slows right down. Everything is doing that. And that's just energy.
Yeah.
That's what it does. And that's even its wavelengths and stuff, it's ebbing and flowing. And so when he sort of really realized that, he went, oh, I don't really need to worry about it then. Like it's just going to happen. It's just a natural occurrence. It's not me doing that. And
yes,
I know we spoke about this after yesterday. The whole concept of the ego, I'm going to go back to that right now, is that the ego feels like it's personal to you. So this is my ego. Instead of the collective ego that you're tapping into. And that's definitely the ego loves that stuff. It's like, oh, it's me, like, and it's got an identity and all that sort of stuff. So remembering again that it's not your ego, you're actually tapping into the if there is an ego, tapping into the collective ego, you're actually tapping into that stuff. So I guess that sort of just brought up the whole, why did I even say that? What's the connection with that? I have no idea. I just felt like saying that.
Did you want to go back to what we talked about, the ego being personal?
Yeah, so he was taking it personally. That's what I was going to make the point. He was saying, like, my money, I have money issues. It's my money issue because I'm not doing something.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying maybe all of money's doing that at that time. Like maybe everyone's experiencing the same thing at the same time. Like money is ebbing and flowing, and we just don't ever realize that because we never talk to anyone about it because we're so ashamed that I don't have any money right now, so I can't tell you about that. So no one ever realizes that it actually is that natural ebb and flow, and all you've done is tap into the money game, that universal money game that we're all playing, and maybe everyone is going through that.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's true too.
But it was just interesting for him to say that there was this natural ebb and flow when he really did take notice. And it's like, oh, we've actually noticed the same thing too. Like, and it doesn't matter how much money you actually have. This is the other thing I noticed. It doesn't matter how much money you've actually got sitting in the bank. Your feelings and your attitude towards how much money you have and whether you feel abundant or not will actually ebb and flow. So it's actually got nothing really to do with the figure that's sitting in the bank. It's your approach to it, if you like, or your feeling towards it. Like sometimes you feel really abundant and you don't actually have a lot of money, but you see around you and abundance comes in other forms. So suddenly you're seeing it not as money, you're seeing it as something else. You go, oh, wow, like that was amazing. I just had this amazing connection, or this happened, or that happened. And then other times you've got what seems like plenty of money, but it seems like the money's going out all the time. There's like lots of bills and stuff. And then you don't feel abundant, even though you've got tons of money. And it's sort of like just really interesting. So maybe it's not really the physical form that's going up and down and ebbing and flowing. Maybe it's our attitude, feeling, our feeling towards it.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the key point around all of it is it's actually then the story that we just tell about that, isn't it? It's just like maybe this is just an is. There is no explanation, justification, anything else, but anything else we bring in after that, I am, or it just is, or like anything after that is just a justification of the story, like of the collecting evidence to support our viewpoint, or I
think that was
the story that we've been running for ages, and it's just like it's so automatic to fall into that. But what if there wasn't anything, as you said, like to explain? It's just a sensation moving through your body, and sometimes you feel up, and sometimes you feel a bit down, and sometimes you feel a bit tired, and sometimes, yeah.
What was the story you were telling me yesterday afternoon when we were still chatting off camera? About, was it Kyle that was pulling people up, and like he was pulling them up on stage, and they would say how they were feeling about something, and then and he said you can stop right there because the rest of it's going to be your past story. What was that?
Yeah, he was. Yes, that's true. Yeah. So Kyle Cease. Yeah, Kyle Cease, who's a comedian turned sort of spiritual, transformational sort of teacher now, and he was just talking about when he does bring somebody up on stage to kind of talk to them about what's kind of going on for them. People would say, "Oh, I'm feeling." So whatever the true feeling in their body is, like I'm feeling to move to Hawaii. Yeah, but I can't because blah, 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 blah. And he would just like stop them at that point, because he said anything that comes after that is just your past story. You're just referencing your past story. Your mind is looking for evidence to kind of go, I can't do that because this happened last time, or I've only got X amount of money in the bank, or I don't know what's going to happen, so therefore I can't go, and my work's probably not going to give me time off, or, whatever that story is that just comes after that moment.
Yeah,
it's unnecessary. It's taking you completely out of the moment. Like, so it starts off as that true feeling, and then the ego comes in and sort of takes a hold of it when we're not paying attention to it. Like, it's just the story is so automatic. We're just so used to doing it, and until we sort of just, it's almost like we feel like we can't just feel something. I don't know. I'd be curious to kind of see what that is about. Why do we do this? I know a lot of it's just entrainment. Like, we've been, doing this for so long, and society doesn't, and gets reinforced everywhere. But like, what is that like about? Like, why can't we just feel something in the moment for the sake of feeling something, or do a drawing, like you said, just because you want to do a drawing? It doesn't have to be anything or for anybody or make money from it. It's like, why can't we just let it be just the feeling, and that's it? Like, nothing else after it, just that.
So. With no justification. It is really interesting, isn't it? Like, I would dare say that most people, it's just training. Like, and I would be the same too. Saying what I feel, and then like I feel to do X, but then followed by a justification for it, or an explanation for feeling, or where it came from, or why you're feeling that. Yeah, like it's so interesting. Like, so many little. I think this is like why I feel like this stuff every day is really important, because there's just so many little hooks like that you don't even think about, that no one's questioning, and they're the things that are tripping us up over and over again. They take us out of the moment, they take us out of the infinite, and we're not even realizing that it's happening. Like, none of us are sort of 100% like onto these things all the time, and it's like we do need almost a revolution and a collective movement of people to come together to actually pull each other up on this stuff, so that we all stop doing it, and really do step into the infinite. Like, it's these little things that are going to trip us up more than anything on this journey.
Definitely. It is just that repetition and focus on it, like making it that the priority and nothing else. Like, stopping yourself when a story comes up, when you hear the story, like put an end to it, like just readjusting all the time. Like, and as you said, like when you sort of said to me about getting off track, you can't be off track. That's the thing either, is it's just using it as the feedback of just showing where you've still got some power in something. Like, that's all it is. So it's nothing more. Like, so let's stop the stories. Like, let's just focus on the feeling and just what would happen. Like, we probably don't even know what would happen. That's the thing. We've never actually given it a good go at just living in that space, and that's it. I know I haven't we've been trying to do that with our project here. Like, that's been a real focus of ours, is like, let's do our business like this, like that it's purely in the moment. It's living from this infinite space. When we feel like we're getting pulled by the ego again, let's pull each other up on it. Let's look at that. Like, let's readjust if we feel like we're doing something it's not true anymore, or it's kind of got pulled off by the ego and now it's become about an outcome. Just keep doing that, and like, just keep staying in the feeling as much as we can, and just seeing what comes from that space, because that's not the normal way of doing things. Like, it's not what we're taught. It's not like what society definitely doesn't do. So it's like there's something wrong with just living in your feeling space. Like,
Yes.
So let's just try it. Let's give it a go, which is why we want to do the revolution. It's just like, let's just all try this together. Like, let's see what happens.
Thing, and it will take all of us together. Like, you know, even you and I can't do it, you know, and Jodie's part of it as well, sort of thing. Like, even between the 2 or 3 of us, we can't do it, because we need other people to support us on our journey and pull our stuff up all the time, sort of thing. And everybody needs that. So we've all got to do this together for this to really, really work.
Yeah. With the story, that would be fun to have a bunch of people coming together on something like this. Yeah.
It's just like, imagine what I can create. Like, that's the part that's getting me excited, is like, wow, imagine like a whole bunch of people that are really moving into this infinite space now and really playing this game. Like, imagine what can be created. That's freaking amazing.
Very fun, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let us know in the comments if you're willing to live by your feelings only and be following the joy that moves through you, and that's it, doing things without questioning it, following your intuition, whatever label. It's not even a label. It's like, however phraseology you want to use to describe that for yourself. So if it's a feeling or an emotion that you feel moving through you, or an inspiration, or the muse, like whatever, people have got all different titles for how that works for them. So whatever that is for you, like, will you commit, like with us, to just living from that space, and let's see what happens. Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be cool. Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, that's a wrap. And see you again tomorrow.
Thanks for joining.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Play infinitely.